What's going on, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at BoxingWave10. Let's talk about this fight. Daniel Dubois against Joyce last Saturday. Yeah, I got that prediction wrong. Won't be the first time. Won't be the last. But with this fight here, I really didn't give Joyce much of a chance of winning. Okay. I was since this fight was brewing, and maybe it's been at least a couple years now, right? I've always thought that Daniel Dubois was going to beat Joyce, no matter what experience Joyce had. I just thought style wise, I always had Dubois winning this fight. You know, I didn't know how, what way, whether by decision or knockout. Regardless of whatever way, I always had Dubois winning this. It never changed at any point. Has it ever changed? You know, and congratulations to Joyce. I was definitely wrong. And everything that I said in my prediction video, the exact opposite happened. Every flaw that Joyce had, we seen it with Dubois in this fight. You know? But look, the kid is just turned 23. You know, I know people are going hard on him because he quit and everything. He has plenty of room to continue going and adjust and make, you know, become a better fighter. You know, he's probably not even in his prime yet. You know, I mean, he just turned 23. He's definitely not in his prime yet. And he can get better. All right. He fought a guy that was 34 years old, very experienced, undefeated, fought better pros, fought better amateurs, and lost. It's not a big deal, you know. But Joyce won simply off his jab. His jab solved the puzzle with Daniel Dubois. I mean, going into the fight, we knew Dubois had flaws, right? But his power, he's a big dude. He's very powerful. He's very explosive. He's very relentless. No one was able to really capitalize on some of the defensive flaws that Dubois had. I think another flaw that he had was that he really didn't have much punch variations in there. You know, I mean, it was just the same thing. It's just mainly just the 1-2. You know, he'll throw an uppercut in there, you know, some body shots, some hooks. But for the most part, it was just the 1-2. He's just straightforward on attack mode, doesn't move his head, defensively flawed, not much of a counter puncher, you know what I'm saying? Never really was forced to fight on his back foot until this fight. And he got exposed, you know, and Joyce did it with a jab. He didn't have to throw too many power shots. He didn't really have to. He beat him off his jab and staying consistent. I mean, listen, Dubois won rounds. I don't know who people had it winning. You know, I watched it. I didn't really score the rounds. I was just watching it because I noticed that maybe around the 5th round is when I noticed the swelling. And I said to myself, you know, while I was watching, I'm like, this eye issue is going to be an issue. This is going to be an issue down the line because it's too early for his eye to be that swollen. It was only the 5th round, you know? So I knew it was going to be a problem. And even though Dubois landed some big shots, certain rounds, some big right hands, the problem is he couldn't hurt Joyce. He rocked him a couple of times. Joyce had to tie up, but he never really badly hurt Joyce. I mean, he's the juggernaut. He's a juggernaut. That's his nickname. He's very durable. He's very durable. And the thing with Dubois, he can't fight at a very high pace. How many power shots are you going to throw? Especially if somebody's throwing a very powerful jab and continuously landing. You know, there was nothing Dubois could do. You know, I was waiting for him to, now he's fighting on his back foot. So I'm like, all right, maybe he's going to set some traps. Maybe he's going to slip some of these jabs and counter with a big right hand or an uppercut. We didn't get any of that. And Dubois has a good jab himself. He didn't throw many of them. He kind of was just forced to, he'll throw some big combinations every once in a while, but outside of that, he was taking jabs to the face the entire fight. He doesn't have any head movement, He wasn't attacking the body. He wasn't keeping his guard up. You got to slip and counter that jab. You got to take the jab away. He didn't do anything to do that. Like, he was just, taking the jabs. He was just getting punched. If a guy's going to just keep throwing that jab the same way over and over, and you're not going to move out of the way or counter the jab, why stop throwing the jab? Especially if it's swollen your eye. I mean, Joyce knew it was working from the opening round because this guy's face was reddening by the early second round. His face was already red. He was bleeding a little bit. Why stop throwing the jab? He beat him simply with a jab. And, I just want to say, I don't want to blame it all on the fighter. It's preparation. It's all preparation. This is the game plan. Not only was Joyce the better fighter, but he had a better game plan between the two. Dubois, I don't really know what the game plan was. I think the game plan was to destroy Joyce. But what if the power, you landed the shots, but what if you're not hurting him? What if he's still coming forward? What do you do? There was no adjustment in his game. It was just like, this is me. This is all I have for you. And there's no other tools I have here. But again, he's only 23 years old. He has plenty of time. I'm not saying he needs to switch trainers, but they need to focus on other things now. Because I'm glad that it happened this early in his career, because now he can focus on things that he can do to make him a better fighter, a more complete fighter. Because he's not that right now. And I think he'll still beat some other top heavyweights. He probably can beat a few out there. All right, but why not change now? Go back to the drawing board. Adjust your game, like work on your game. Improve on your game. Joyce is a little different. Joyce is 34 years old. Joyce has been around for a long time as an amateur, He's been fighting top-level fighters for years. So, I mean, even though his style might not be really fan-friendly, because I've heard other prediction videos. I've heard people I respect, people that have boxing knowledge, say the same things that I've said. A lot of people looked at it like Joyce he's too slow. He has no defense. He doesn't move his head, stuff like that. But he didn't look that slow fighting Dubois that night. Whatever works for you works. And they had a better game plan. And he was able to absorb the punches better than Dubois. And he's able to stop him. Good fight for Joyce. I think I actually rate him as a top 10 heavyweight at this point. I don't know where. I mean, he's pretty high up there. Maybe at number 10. I don't know. But I rate him as of right now, beating Dubois, who I think either one of these winners would have been in the top 10 to me, winning this fight. I don't know where I have him and what order I have him at, but I have Joyce up there now. Okay? I don't know what opportunities is up next for him. I know he called out Usyk. I don't know if that fight can happen, being that Usyk is with Matchroom. Okay, so, we already know the relationship between Eddie and Warren. They don't really have a relationship, so I don't know how that's going to work. But there's other fighters out there. The ESPN has fighters. I don't know who he's going to face next. I'm sure he wants to face another top heavyweight. I mean, he's already up there in age. He's not trying to play around and waste time. And I'm sure fighters are not going to be knocking on his door to get a match with him. You know, so if I can think of, if he can't get in the ring with none of the matchroom fighters, if he can't get in the ring with any of the PBC fighters, you know, the top PBC fighters, there's some of the other guys that's on ESPN Top Rank that's there. You know, there's Oscar Rivas that's out there. You got who else is out there? Tyson Fury, even though Fury is not looking to fight him at this point. There's other fighters, F.A. Jabba, who I don't think is on that level yet, but he's out there. There's other fighters out there. There's other fighters that can be made, you know, fights that can be made on the, you know, do you want to fight Tony Oka? Have that rematch, you know. I think Joyce won the 2016 Olympic finals. You know, I thought he won that fight. Tony Oka is just coming off of a win against Christian Hammer. So, see, you know, if you can get that fight. But I don't know if he's interested in that fight, you know. But I think they're both in the same space right now as far as resume and stuff. Like, I think Joyce is a little bit ahead of Yoka. But, I mean, these guys, they turn pro at the same time, you know. So, maybe we could get that fight. You know, that's a good fight that can be made. And, you know, Yoka's not a match room fighter, I don't believe. So, there are other fighters out there. All right. Now, as far as Daniel Dubois and the criticism he's getting now, the slander he's receiving, all right, because of him taking a knee and basically quitting. I don't like to use those terms here. I never did. He couldn't continue. It is what it is. He had a broken orbital bone, and he caught a nice jab to it throughout the night. He took a knee, didn't get up on time. Didn't get up on time. I'm not gonna call him a quitter. All right. I'm just not. This is not really my place. I think there's better examples of a true quitter. He couldn't continue. You know, he was injured. And he has plenty of time in his career to make up for it. You know, he took a good shot there, and I guess he felt the pain, which is too much for him to continue. You know, I don't personally think he was winning the fight at that point. All right, I think two of the judges had him up. One had him up. One gave almost every round to him. I think there was a judge that only gave Joyce 2 rounds going into the 10th. All right, so it was 7 rounds to 2 for Dubois, which I thought was extremely wide. I mean, if Dubois didn't land a big right hand in the round, I didn't really give it to him because Joyce was consistent with that jab, and it was a powerful jab. It was a power jab, and he kept connecting. But I'm not gonna call him no quitter or anything like that, you know. And I think the people that slander, like I seen comments with Tyson Fury and Billy Joe Saunders, and I'm just like, you know, it's real messed up because these are your peers, you know, in a way. You guys are boxers. You know, I would expect some fan that never fought before to say that he quit and stuff like that. I wouldn't expect that from the fighters, but for the fighters that are all coming out like Fury and Saunders and whoever else, you know, when I saw it from Fury, and I was like, man, you know, it's just not a good way to kick a guy that while he's down. Not only that, but dude, you became heavyweight champion of the world and you quit boxing. Like, you quit everything. You quit on your health. You quit the sport. You gave up all the belts. You disappeared. You know, you got fat. And listen, I'll give you all the credit for being able to come back and win a world title again. Much credit. And I praise that all the time. I think you beat Wilder both fights. But for you to criticize this kid, took a knee, had a broken orbital bone, it is what it is. You know, to question his heart, I don't think that's right. You know, Same way with Billy Joe Saunders, another guy. This guy, you popped dirty on PEDs before. Who are you to question somebody's heart? You know? Who are you to question? You don't even want to fight anybody tough. Who are you to question him? You know, I don't like that stuff. I don't like it from fighters, and I don't like it from fans, but I don't like it from fighters neither. You know? It's bad enough, it's embarrassing, you know. He was very confident going. He's already embarrassed enough for losing. But the fact that he had to take a knee and not get up from it, it's embarrassing enough. So the last thing we need is fighters that pop dirty on tests and had fights canceled because they didn't come in clean and they didn't even end up fighting the fighters that they were supposed to face. Guys like that shouldn't be judging him. He fought a very dangerous fighter, an undefeated fighter that was much more experienced than him, and 15 fights in. It's not like Dubois was much of an amateur. He's only been pro for a couple years. So guys that want to question his heart and his courage, I'm not feeling that. And I never was like that. I didn't do it with Kell Brook. I mean, Kell Brook lost. He took a knee and he didn't get back up, but I'm just not into calling fighters quitters like that. Like, so simple. There are fighters that I do believe that just legit quit. All right? There are fighters out there that's done it. And some of them are legends. So I'm not going to disrespect them for saying that, and I'm not in there. And even if you are in a ring, who are you to question them? You know, like, even if you are a pro boxer or amateur boxer or whatever it is that you do, you're not in there with him. You're not fighting at that level. So who are you to question his heart or his courage? I just don't like that. I don't like that. Especially if you are on his level or above his level. What have you done in your career? You know, you've done some shady things in your career. You know, it's like, it's weird. You know, taking PEDs is a form of quitting. Because you don't, in your mind, you don't have the heart and courage to fight this guy fair. You don't have the heart and courage to fight your opponent fair and square. So who are you to tell somebody that they're a quitter? You know? And that's for any of these fighters, for any of these fighters. I know there was more fighters that came out and said stuff. I can't think of them all on the top of my head, but those are the two that stood out to me. Because I'm like, dude, we can all judge you. You know, or a fan, like a fan. Like, if a fan is saying it, who cares? They're a fan. They're just watching the sport. They're not really in there, like, you know what I'm saying? And even if you do box, it's like, all right, well, you're not on that level. And I criticize fighters too. I definitely do. But if a fighter can't take no more and they're being damaged, all right, well, if you can't take no more, enough is enough, then try to get the next one, man. That's it. There's a lot of fighters that, hey, they quit fights, but they came back and they had a great career. You know, so I don't know. I just want to really address that. But I think it's time for Daniel to work on some things, because now that this loss happened, it means that you need to work on things. What you're good at doing right now is not going to work in the long run. There's other fighters out there that has more experience that are going to counter you. That's going to bring different trouble, different forms of trouble to your way. Joyce exposed some of them in this fight. So you got to work on your craft and get better as a fighter. He's 23 years old, y'all. Y'all going crazy? He's 23. What was you doing at 23? I don't know. I'm going to leave it at that. Peace.